now calling this meeting to order. Please stand for our invocation by Ms. Webb and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, we ask that you be with us this evening as we conduct the business of the city of Northport. We ask for your guidance and wisdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Administrator Webb, call roll, please.
Councilman Washington.
Here.
Councilman Wiggins.
Here.
Councilwoman Dykes.
Here.
And Pro Tem Bobo.
Here. Number 5 on our agenda is presentations. The first presentation we have is the Northport Redevelopment Authority 2024 Facade Improvement Grant Program. Mr. Jay Stuck.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, I appreciate you hearing us out tonight. As you all recall, my name is Jay Stuck. I represent the Northport Redevelopment Authority. I came in, I believe it's now about a year and a half ago, into the midst of a facade improvement program that had been started at that point. That program has now ceased. I've brought a presentation that I can kind of update you on the beginnings of that program and how that program went, and then take you into what we're proposing for a second round of the facade improvement program. I think it's a big improvement, and we're all pretty excited about it. So I'll go through these very briefly. Like I said, most of this y'all will recall, but the Redevelopment Authority Board is made up of the Board President Steve Steele, our Vice President Jamie Conger, who's here tonight, Kevin Almond, Gio Gomez, Ricky Sherrod, Bruce Higginbotham, and Kayla Griffin. This is a volunteer board. They've done a phenomenal amount of work on this. If you see them, obviously only one is here tonight, but as you see them in the community, please thank them for their efforts. It's a pretty thankless job with a lot of administrative work. Also, the staff itself within the city has been invaluable to us. Darren McGee in particular, Whitney DuBose, the legal department, City Administrator Webb have all been huge helps in going through this. As you recall, the first round of this process was about $350,000 that was allocated from the Northport First funds. The way that program was structured, if you remember, was it was very small grants. The idea was to touch a lot of places a little bit. And going through this, as we looked at this, we ended up with 47 total applications. We had 29 approved applications. There was a total of just under $700,000 that was requested. And those dots on that map represent every property that was awarded one of those grants. So as you can see, it's pretty spread out throughout the city. And again, those are small grants that do a small amount for each one. These are just quick shows to kind of show you the sort of things that we saw. I think everybody's familiar with that building right off Bridge Avenue. Definitely a transformation from a visual standpoint, certainly. Rhubarb's down on Main Avenue. We saw a pretty big transformation with that property as well. I think most likely, frankly, the largest transformation was the Vestavia Plaza. This was A&R LLC, which was actually Druid City Properties, was the developer on the project, and I think everybody that goes by there has complimented that. I've personally received a number of compliments on that project. I think Richard Henry did a good job on that. As going through that process, one of the things that we learned, or a number of things that we learned, frankly, was that we were not going to have the impact that I think everybody wanted at that small grant level. The idea was we were looking for what we termed catalyst projects, something that could change not only the project itself, but change the surrounding areas and begin to move things on an upward trend. There were a number of reasons I think that we had those issues. One was repeatedly just the size of the grant. The grant was too small to make monumental changes on any one property. In addition to that, though, was the areas. It was so spread out. And the idea that we're going to offer this to any commercial properties within the city, it lessened the impact of any one project because they were so spread out. So along the lines of what we looked at doing for the second program was we needed to address the logistics, meaning the process of applying for these. The first round, it was a bit of a hodgepodge, frankly, application process. It frankly ended up with my office. that's who handled most of them come through. I think there were a few that landed on legal's desk here that kind of migrated through the city process, and a few that were just brought into the city that we kind of got wind of a month or two later sometimes. I've been working with Scott Murphy with IT. They've been fantastic as well. They are building out a database so that every member of the redevelopment authority will have access to these as they're filed, so that these can be evaluated on an ongoing basis rather than trying to set one meeting where we're going to stay up till midnight and go through 80 different applications at once. In addition to that, the ability to move the submission process online exclusively, I think will make a huge difference just from a logistical standpoint, because we have a very easy place to point all the citizens that are interested in the program. That website is being built out. I do believe that the form itself is live. There will be a few changes to that form. I met with IT last week. We added just a few wrinkles, a very minor amount of language changes, and then them building out the database themselves. However, the form is up. It's on the Northport Redevelopment Authority page on the city website. I would encourage you all to take a look at it. I think they did a good job with the application, and I don't think you're going to see any major changes with that. The other thing that was the primary issue in that previous incarnation, like I've talked about, is the amount of the grants. So what we wanted to do with this round is the city was gracious enough to allocate $400,000 out of the Northport First funds for this program going forward. In looking at those types of projects, what we decided to do in conjunction with city personnel, we've had a lot of meetings about this, a lot of discussions about it. We're going to do $100,000 grants. We're going to do 4 $100,000 facade improvement grants. Now, those are going to be based on 50-50 matching, meaning a minimum project size of $200,000, with the applicant putting up $100,000 of the money, and obviously the Northport Redevelopment Authority coming in on the back end of those grants with $100,000. The funding mechanism of that will generally be on a reimbursable basis, meaning you would complete the entirety of the project and then come make application on the back end for your previously approved monies, and that would be allocated based on that. We do allow for developers in certain situations to request a different payment structure, meaning more in line with what we would usually see in commercial development. The idea that you would have some benchmarks throughout the project and you would get a certain amount of the money based upon hitting those benchmarks. We are allowing applicants to request that in the process. Now, a number of things will occur with that that will all be on the applicant themselves, including paying for professional staff and personnel on behalf of the redevelopment authority to monitor those benchmarks. Essentially, we'd probably hire an engineer. I've been in contact with the Cassidy company, who does a lot of work with the city already. Collins Espy said he did not think that would be any problem whatsoever in going forward in that type of an environment. In addition, we are going to make a much bigger effort towards publicizing this project, because I think the last one really just didn't have the reach from a public standpoint that we really had hoped that it would. As part of the application process in this particular grant program, applicants will acknowledge and accept that, one, there'll be signage on the property displaying that this is Northport First Funds administered through the grant program of Northport Redevelopment Authority. There'll be professional video, professional photography of the projects on an ongoing basis. My hope is that we can coordinate with IT to keep those projects up front and in people's faces, because the size of these projects are not going to happen quick. These are projects that are months, possibly year long. I mean, if you really, depending on the size of the overall project. I say the overall project because it's really my hope that we don't see a lot of $200,000 projects. It's my hope we see a lot of much larger projects. Now, the portion of the grant has to be allocated towards the facade improvement, the outdoor, the visual aspects of the building themselves, okay, or the property itself. So you may have a situation where you have like a new construction project. They're only going to be available to get grant money for the portion that's being spent on the approved expenses. So these grant applications will be allocated out so that we'll be able to kind of show that this is the facade improvement versus, hey, this is plumbing or electrical or anything. I think the overall goal of the project is pretty obvious. It's the catalyst projects like we talked about previously. I think that's the most important thing, is to try to generate projects that affect the surrounding areas in a positive way. In order to do that, one of the things that we also learned, as I've shown you the previous map where these projects were spread out a great deal, in this round, there will be additional points awarded for projects that are in certain areas of the city. The areas, after consultation with city personnel, after the board and analyzing this thoroughly, the areas that are going to be receiving particular attention through the scoring criteria are from the Lurleen Wallace Bridge to 82, both north and south, from the eastern city limits on 82 to essentially the 43 intersection. Those two areas alone are going to receive the priority analysis. The main reason for that is, I think everybody here knows this. If you ride around the city, those are the hidden gems. Those are the highly used properties that frankly need updating, but that could generate those types of catalyst projects that we hope to see. I think we've gone through all of that. The process itself is fairly simple. There'll be an online application. The application itself is going to be pretty vague because we're encouraging applicants to bring more things to us. We want engineering drawings, obviously. We want renderings, obviously. But we also want creativity. I mean, if somebody comes up with some good traffic counts or some reason that this might be a particular catalyst project, that this might really spur that type of development, that's all very important. We want to allow the applicants to give us those things. At the conclusion of the application process, once the window's been closed, the board will meet. We have an independent scoring criteria. Those sheets, I believe, have been provided for you. If they have not, I'm happy to email those to anyone that wants to take a look at those. The board will go through and essentially score every project. At the conclusion of that, we'll do a cutoff, and we'll invite those applicants to come in and present in person. They'll have 30 minutes. We'll encourage them to bring experts. If you're going to need to ask your engineer something, your engineer needs to be standing next to you when you come in. Obviously, that'll be a very public process. I would anticipate the council will likely have a lot of interest in those presentations as well. At the conclusion of that process, there'll be a second round of scoring, and we'll hopefully award those grants at that point. There'll be a contractual process that we go through. It's a fairly formed contract. Essentially says, hey, you're going to adhere to the terms of the grant program. We're going to adhere to what we're telling you we'll do. Those are going to include a lot of things like background checks. Obviously, no one that's in any trouble with the city, behind on fines, costs, any sort of thing. Those folks are going to have problems getting through the process because the city is going to be an integral part of this. In speaking with the legal department, Chris and Ron both have been very helpful in essentially giving us point people with the city that can help us with these, because the first round there was a little bit of an issue and just trying to figure out who the right people were to talk to in certain circumstances. I don't think that will be an issue this time around. And the ability for everybody to review these applications as they come in and score them as they come in should make a pretty big difference on the workload of the board. Just giving them a little bit of leeway, as opposed to, I think Jamie remembers the last time we did this, it was essentially 50 printed applications of 25 pages each in a room that we just stayed in until we finished, and it was a late night. Applicants will be required to disclose any potential conflicts of interest, so that everybody's aware. We want to make this as transparent as possible. That's the reason for the scoring criteria. That's the reason for going through the background checks on anyone that makes the application. It's the reason for checking with the city. It's my hope that there's no one that feels like this was anything other than a completely open and transparent process. That's what we intend it to be, and that's how we've structured it. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
I don't have a question. I have a comment, if that's okay.
Please.
I know that everyone on the redevelopment authority is very process engaged and very just wanting to do something better every time we do something, but I don't want you to detract from what you have done over this past period, because it has made a very big difference, and we appreciate you volunteering your time and your hours to do that. But I've talked to several of these businesses, and they wouldn't have made the move to beautify their property otherwise. And that has it's made a huge difference in the way our downtown looks and really all around. So don't take away from what you've done. It's a lot of hard work, and I know it was spread out and it took a long time to get there, but defining that process was key in getting to the next step of it.
Council President, I appreciate you saying that. I know they have worked very hard. The board has worked extensively on that. And then I think it was interesting in that we did find a lot of potholes in the process and said, hey, we can fix this. This can be something really special. And truthfully, I do believe that this round is going to be kind of a special thing. I think this is something that everybody in the city will be proud of. I think monitoring the progress will make a big difference for everyone involved. And I think, frankly, just the process being much more defined going through it, rather than kind of, okay, now we've approved 28, let's see if we can take 10 more applications, and then lowering the number of grants total down to 4 I think that's crucial. I mean, it's my anticipation that we're going to have some really outstanding applicants. The word of this has leaked out into the community, because obviously we have a bunch of business people that are on the board, and everybody kind of knows that the first round is over, and everybody knows that you all have allocated for the second round. So I've had people inquiring, a big number of people, and folks that can, that have properties that can move the needle, that can do the things we really want done. So I'm excited personally, and I know the board's very excited as well.
What were the grant sizes previously? I know they were smaller.
They were small. The way it worked, it was kind of a weird formula that had been handed down. It was the first 10,000 was essentially just a grant, just free grant, and then you could get 50% of the money spent above that up to 20. So essentially, if you spent 30, you could get 20. What we had was that first 10 free seemed to almost bait $9,000 projects. We had a lot of small projects, right. And that was you just didn't see those larger kind of push investments. I think Vestavia Plaza, the A&R project, honestly, that may have been just kind of timing. He was really already starting that project regardless, and now I think he did a little more in talking to him, based on the availability of that. But what I'm hearing from the bankers on the board, as well as just community in general, and talking to some of the people that do this for a living, this number is enough to move the needle on a financing standpoint. This is enough to get you to the bank and say, hey, this project really wasn't viable last year, but it's viable under this. So that's the important thing. I think it's what you said, Councilman Bobo. I think it's just getting people to move that initial portion, and I think this will do that.
Thank y'all for what you do.
Thank y'all very much.
And for sticking with it.
Right.
I don't think you've lost any board members, have you?
I have not batted one.
That's awesome. Thank you for talking about it again with us tonight.
No, I'm happy to. And everybody's free to reach out to me individually. I'm easy to find. Ron has a cell phone number. If you ever need anything, I'm happy to talk to you. I know Woodrow and I have met on a few things over the years, so happy to help out. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening.
Item 6 is approval of the agenda. Let's see. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve the agenda for March 18th council meeting as printed?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion by Councilman Wiggins and a second by Mr. Washington. Ms. Webb, can you call roll, please?
Voting beginning with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 7 is visitors to address the council. We have none tonight. Moving on to unfinished business. A, ordinances and resolutions of a permanent nature. We have a second reading. Ordinance adopting water and sewer projects. Mr. McGee?
Yes, Madam President. This is the second reading of ordinance approving 3 water and sewer projects. It is passed finance and went through a first reading, so it's ready for a vote.
Okay, so the form of the motion would be to adopt the ordinance adopting these proposed water and sewer projects. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
That's a motion by Councilwoman Dykes and a second by Councilman Washington. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 9 is new business. A, ordinances and resolutions of a permanent nature. We have none. B, resolutions of a temporary nature. Item 1, resolution authorizing water service outside city limits for property located at 15095 Preacher Lee Road. Mr. Davis.
Yes, if staff recommends this be approved, it meets all the conditions of the ordinance.
Okay, so the form of that motion will be to adopt the resolution authorizing water service outside the city limits to be provided to Ryan Miller for property located at 15095 Preacher Lee Road pursuant to the conditions in the resolution. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
That is a motion by Councilman Washington and a second by Councilwoman Dykes. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 2 is a resolution accepting the 2023 audit report. Form,
Yes, this is our 2023 audit report. We heard it. It was approved in Finance Committee. It's done by LaCroix and Richardson. We appreciate all their hard work. Briefly, it is an unmodified opinion, which is what we would like. There were no deficiencies noted in internal controls. Had a single audit that met all the criteria of grant requirements, and the city is in very strong financial position this time. So we'd ask that you vote to approve that, if you please.
that's what we like to hear. So the form of that motion would be to approve the resolution accepting the 2023 audit report as completed by LaCroix Richardson. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion by Councilman Wiggins and a second by Councilman Washington. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 3 is a resolution accepting balancing change order number 1 for water treatment plant filter and SCADA improvements project. Mr. Webb.
Yes, this decreases the contract amount by $4,392. So it's a deduction, and it also increases the time of completion by 52 days.
Okay, so the form of that motion will be to move to approve the resolution for balancing change order number 1 for the water treatment plant filter and SCADA improvements projects, which deducts $4,392 and increases the completion time by 52 days and authorizes the administrator to execute the necessary documents to proceed with the project. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
That's a motion by Councilman Washington and a second by Councilman Wiggins. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute offer letter for utility easements at Applewood Drive. Mr. Davis.
Yes, this is for sanitary sewer improvements to help remove a bottleneck there. So staff recommends approval of this resolution.
So the form of that motion would be to adopt the resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute offer letter for utility easements at Applewood Drive and execute all documents and approve all expenditures required for the implementation of this resolution. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion by Mr. Councilman Wiggins and a second by Councilman Washington. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with ALDOT for the maintenance of public right-of-way with reimbursement. Ms. Starnes.
Yes, ma'am. This is a yearly maintenance agreement with ALDOT for the mowing of right-of-ways on 43, 82, and Lurleen Wallace.
Always love to hear that. Okay, so the form of that motion would be to approve the resolution authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with ALDOT for the maintenance of public right-of-way with reimbursement. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion by Councilman Washington and a second by Councilman Wiggins. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 6 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute amendment number 2 to the master services agreement with TTL for the sports and recreation complex at Northport Shore. Ms. Tubbs.
Yes, this amendment would include construction services on phase 1 and design services on the next 3 phases.
Okay, so the form of that motion would be to authorize the city administrator to execute amendment number 2 to the master services agreement with TTL for the sports and recreation complex at Northport Shore in the amount of $815,000. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
That's a motion by Councilwoman Dykes and a second by Councilman Washington. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item number 7 is a resolution authorizing application for the Education Trust Fund grant through the Alabama Historical Commission. Ms. Tubbs?
Yes, this will be improvements to the Palmer House and is a no-match grant if received.
Okay, so the form of that motion would be to authorize the engineering department to apply for the Education Trust grant through the Alabama Historical Commission for funding to paint the Northport Heritage Museum. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion by Councilman Wiggins and a second by Councilman Washington. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item number 8 is a resolution authorizing legal recording and advertising fees for vacation of right-of-way on 29th Avenue, parcels A, B, and C. Ms. Tubbs?
Yes, this just sets the fee and the price to advertise for this vacation as requested. It's not voting on the vacation, just setting the fees.
Okay, so the form of that motion would be that the city council will authorize the legal recording and advertising fees for the vacation of right-of-way for parcels A, B, and C of 29th Avenue. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion by Councilwoman Dykes and a second by Councilman Washington. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 9 is a resolution electing a city council president pro tem, Mr. Davis.
Yes, the Alabama Code provides a mechanism when there's a vacancy, as we presently have in the pro tem position. The resolution that's attached has a blank in it, so a motion should include the name of one of the 3 remaining council members that you wish to nominate for the president pro tem of the council.
Okay, so the form of that motion would be to move the adoption of the resolution appointing Councilman Woodrow Washington III as council president pro tem. That's in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's a motion by Councilwoman Bobo and a second by Councilman Wiggins. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 10 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract with Southeast Appraisal, Inc. for Main Avenue Revitalization Project appraisal services. Ms. Tubbs?
Yes, the Main Avenue environmental document has been approved, so AlDOT has given us authorization to move forward with right-of-way. So we are asking to enter into a contract with Southeast Appraisal so we can start that process.
Okay, so the form of that motion would be to move that the city council authorize the city administrator to execute a contract with Southeast Appraisal, Inc. for Main Avenue Revitalization Project appraisal services in a not-to-exceed amount of $35,000. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion by Councilman Washington and a second by Councilman Wiggins. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Abstain. Item number 11 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Secure IT 360 for security services. Mr. Murphy.
Yes, these are some necessary security services for the city.
Okay, so the form of that motion will be to approve the resolution for the city administrator to enter into a master services agreement with Secure IT 360 and to authorize the city administrator to approve all requisitions and documents related to said agreement. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Oh, second.
All right, so that's a motion by Councilwoman Dykes and a second by Councilman Wiggins. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Councilman Washington.
Yes.
Voting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Item C is consent agenda, ranging from the minutes from the last meeting to purchase requisitions. The form of the motion would be to approve the consent agenda for the March 18th, 2024 council meeting as printed. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion by Councilman Wiggins and a second by Councilman Washington. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 10 is reports of special committees of council. Do we have any? No. Item 11 is public hearings, and we have one. Item 1 is the West Alabama Food and Wine Festival ABC license. Chief Burton?
Yes, ma'am. We have an application from the West Alabama Food and Wine Festival, as we did last year. There were no issues with the application.
Okay, so I'll open the floor for a public hearing for agenda item 11D1.
Is there anyone that would like to speak for or against this application?
Hearing none, I'll close the floor for public hearing on agenda item 11D1. The form of the motion would be to approve the ABC license for West Alabama Food and Wine Festival. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion by Councilwoman Dykes and a second by Councilman Wiggins. Ms. Webb, call roll, please.
Voting with Councilman Washington.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item 12 is city administrator's business.
I only have one item tonight, Madam President, and that is to thank everyone who came out today to our groundbreaking ceremony for River Run Park. This is the first phase in our sports complex, and we were very excited to see the turnout and to begin a very monumental process. So we appreciate everyone's attendance.
Okay, item 13 is departmental business, and we have none. Item 14 is mayor and council members' business. Honorable Mayor Hinton is not with us this evening. If we could ask for prayers for his speedy recovery. Let's see. District 1. I have no new updates. I know we just got an update for the Main Avenue project. And also, second, that our groundbreaking went great today, and we're thankful for everyone who was able to come out and join us for that. Let's see. District 2, Councilman Washington.
I have none.
District 3, Councilman Wiggins.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that the paving process for Watermelon Road has been in a pause while we worked on getting a temporary pole approved for the traffic signal at Rice Valley Road. That has been approved by AlDOT, so hopefully that will start the process back up again. But I just wanted to bring that up because that there has been a delay, and it was frustrating me. So I'm sure there were some other people who've seen that and wondered what was happening. But anyway, that's the latest update.
Thank you. District 4, Councilwoman Dykes.
First, I want to tell Darren happy birthday. Have a great day. Ms. Webb, in relation to the District 5 seat, what would it take to have a special election for that seat?
We are required to operate under state law, and the state law that is the directive for a vacancy for city council for a class 7 or 8 municipality, and I'll let the city attorney back me up if there's anything that comes. Code section 1144G1 requires the council, if there's a vacancy, to nominate and approve a candidate to fill the vacancy within 60 days. If that fails to happen under council choice, then, or if we don't reach a 3-person vote, then it goes to the governor's office. Each council member and the mayor can submit a nominee to the governor's office. The governor's office has 30 days for which to select from those individuals and appoint a member. Only if those two items fail can we proceed to a special called election, and that has to be done through the probate office. The probate judge has to call that.
Okay.
Is there
so-
anything that needs to be added, Mr. Davis?
No, that's correct. We have, unfortunately, what you want to do, however you want to do it, you have to follow state law. State law requires the four of you to select within the next 60 days, or 60 days from the time of the resignation.
Is there a possibility of once the applications, resumes are submitted, to have a town hall of sorts where applicants would be able to field questions from citizens of that district?
You can
Whoever.
handle the selection process any way you decide to handle it, but again, the Alabama code requires the four of you to make that selection, and the city administrator will take 3 votes.
I'm sorry, can you speak to the microphone? We can't.
City Administrator Webb, I'm really impressed that you remembered that was 1144 G1.
I've had a lot of years of municipal law experience.
I think we
so-
probably all called on you in the last week about reciting that to us. So thank you for that.
And I wanted to kind of go back on the idea of a public forum. The body that would be selecting ordinarily does not host forums. That is usually done by other interested parties, maybe the League of Women Voters.
Okay.
And so if there are candidates that come forth, and I believe council has committed to each providing the top 3 candidates and then scheduling interviews, perhaps some community members would like to organize a forum to hear from those that are the nominees of council members. But it's not the place of the city
City
to
does
conduct
that.
to
Okay.
conduct those things.
Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Dykes, did you have any additional district
No,
business?
good, thank you.
Okay. Item number 15 is adjournment. And the form of the motion would be to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion by Councilman Wiggins and a second by Councilman Washington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And this meeting is adjourned.